Good morning. Wednesday, Pashas Vayikra. So yesterday we mentioned the severity of raising the kids with fears, putting fears on the kids. We've discussed the Masechtas Smachos, how severe it can end up when the kids being raised under attack of criticism or fears. The fears can lead the child to commit suicide, and that's what Masechtas Smachos was saying. And Hilchos Chaim, Reb Chaim Falaji mentioned that even sometimes, let's say the kids don't get to that point that they commit suicide, but it for sure will cause them to to drop the Eibishter's ways, Eibishter's derech, and to go on to go and seek for positivity elsewhere. So it's very important. So it's very consciously we have to dispute from our minds this way of raising the kids with fears or criticism or down talk or degradation, humiliation, and so forth. It was never, Yiddish Chinuch never contained this mahalach. This more brutal mahalach comes from Eastern places, but not Yiddish mahalach. Jewish way of b'machan the kids never ever contained this kind of pattern. So this pattern needs to be disputed as fast as we can, as early as we can, so we can save the children's lives, physical life, and spiritual as well. There's a gewaltige Wort from Jonas and Eibschitz. A gewaltige Wort from Jonas and Eibschitz. Pashas Kisiso. Let's understand what's going on when we're putting the fears on the child. The child's not behaving well, then we'll tell the child, if you won't behave, if I won't see good marks on your test, you will get punished. If you won't behave in the shul, I will take it away from you. I will confiscate from you the dessert. If you won't behave in the shul, I will give you a patch. A mother walks with the child in the street, and the child starts to yell or scream. The mother tells the child, if you won't stop screaming, I will punish you. Will come home. You will get from me. And what's going on internally? How does the child feel when you threaten him? It's a very broad concept. Really, what child experiencing at the time when he's being attacked by fears and other threatening verbal abuse, let's call it this way. But mainly what child feels, it's the Iyush, because Iyush is when you threaten a child perceives threatening as a gzar din. Means that's it. For your negative behavior, I release a sentence. I release the gzar din, and that's what you're gonna be getting. So when a person hears that word, when a person feels that is nigzar, he got submitted to a gzar din. So it certainly gives a person an iyush. He's been miyash. Because usually gzar din comes after all the hopes and was given, after all the trials, and it comes to oynish. So child feels when you threaten the child feels that iyush gave up. That's it. Be miyash. And we all know when a person falls into ish, what happens to a person, especially when the child falls into ish, what happens to a child. Because again, the child's brain capacity is not that wide, so it does not take the fear. Doesn't have to be that big fear to make the child feel mi'iyush and that you give up on him. The feelings of iyush is very it's over. When a person feels the iyush, he feels that it's over. It's finished. Loma lechaim. Why do I need to live for? If anyway things, anyways the iyush. So what's the life? What's the point to live a life? That's kind of feelings iyush awakes within the person when the person feels and experiencing iyush at that time, especially the child. Although the child does not know what life is about, but the life becomes misery. So again, the fears does not have to be you threatening the child with his life that will take the life. Even the small fears, with the time, it piles up and the child starts to feel meyush. Rabbi Yonah is saying a gewaltige word. He said the Eibishter notified Moshe Rabbeinu, being on Bar Sinai, on Har Sinai, the Klal Yisrael sinned with Chet Egel. Moshe Rabbeinu did not break Elichas. When he came down, and he saw the Klal Yisrael dancing with the Egel, then he broke the Elichas. So the question remains, there's a lot of questions on this whole story of Moshe Rabbeinu breaking the Elichas. Why didn't he break the Elichas when the Eibishter notified him? Why did he broke the Elichas when he came down? But it's a different question. I don't want to discuss it now. The question remains here. Rabbeinu says, why Moshe Rabbeinu broke the Elichas? Who gave permission for Moshe Rabbeinu to break the Elichas? Mas Etz V'Lakim. It was written by Eibishter himself. So who gave Moshe Rabbeinu permission to break the Elichas? But Rabbeinu is saying a gewaldige soid, and actually soid that Eibishter himself agreed to Moshe Rabbeinu's cheshbon. Rabbeinu is saying as a Lichas, we think Lichas was just the Aseres Adibres. But Rabbeinu brings a medrash that it would Aseres Adibres, not written Aseres Adibres, but will link to Aseres Adibres oinshim, what kind of oinshim a person gets, what kind of punishments a person gets when he is violating the Aseres Adibres. So Moshe Rabbeinu has a gewaldige shaila here. He wants the Klal Yisrael to do tshuva, but otherwise, on the other hand, the Klal Yisrael will see the onshim that they will get on the chet lo yelech Elohim acherim al ponai. They will get discouraged to do tshuva. So Moshe Rabbeinu came down and he broke the lichas. He broke the lichas. Potentially, the Klal Yisrael should not see what kind of oynish they will get of avodah zarah, so they won't get discouraged to do tshuva, because a person hears the oynish, says Rabbi Snaipshis. When you're saying a oynish, a person automatically gets discouraged to do tshuva. There's a Rabbi Snaipshis she'ein lahachmara ba'al tshuva lahachbit avineseim be'aneim. Never make, when a person wants to do tshuva, let's say a person made a sin, he comes and wants to do tshuva. Don't never tell him, oh, how big the there is. Lebalis you ashem tshuva, because that's the psychological. When a person hears what kind of oynish he's going to be getting of this aveda of hate, he just gets demoralized of doing tshuva. The isu bezoyer ki beluchis hoy chakikim kol onshim letisa man do over al mitzvos. And Zoyer says that the lichas was ingrained in lichas, that all the onshim, all the punishments for a person who is violating the Aseres Adibros. On mezeh atam nicha loimer, we can say sheshiver Moshe's lichas al shiru sheuse etzel egel. Moshe Rabbeinu saw that the Klal Yisrael did the egel. Ki ile roi Yisrael balichas goydel ha'oinesh. If Klal Yisrael wouldn't sin, would see this goydel ha'oinesh, gewaldig oinesh, what you get for avodah zarah, a wonderful shtickle, very soidisdig, very fundamental piece of very, very important information. When a person hears the oinish, it automatically leads the person to a iyush. So is the child. When you tell a child or to anyone that he's getting an oinish, it automatically leads the child to iyush. When a person is in iyush, it leads the Iyush leads the person in the spectrum of suicidal. Because if I'm already Iyush, if my parent gave up on me, although you're not saying, a parent is not releasing this muser teichocha to give up on a child, but that the child perceives it. When you hear the oynish, you fall into Iyush. The Iyush leads to a spectrum of Malechaim, and this is a spectrum of all kind of creative ways how to execute this question, Lo Malechaim, or whether committing suicide, or whether going to drop it the Yiddish way. But that's the power of Iyush. Iyush rises within person's mind and emotions, and the onshim rises within person's mind and the feelings. The Iyush is, it leads to problems, big problems. Therefore, we should, again, it's many sources, but some many sources how frightening is the fears are, what kind of frightening influence and impact fears have on the child or anyone. But the biggest problem is that person starts to feel that he is miyuish, he's miyayish himself, he gives up. Therefore, as Rabbi Michael Levkovich writes in Imre Das, Abizmanenu shador chulish ein koyach lesmol doiche. Today's generation, choyser shuta shoyne b'noi is b'chlal not nogeya. But tzorech lechazik be'ikar esaymin mekarebes. We have to be mechazik, we have to make strong our right hand, and to be mekar with our right hand, our kids, so would bring a positive result, and will actually encourage and motivate the kids to be on the right track, to go back on the right track, to train them to remain on the right track. It's only through a yamin mekarev, the right hand mekarev. How we do that? Through positive communication, positive talk to our child. It's very important to know also that it's not only, as I said before many times, it's not only important that your message should contain good words, but also the body language, the face. The face, when a parent releasing that teichocha, that musa, that Chinוך to a child, your face has to be enlightened. You have to have lichtig upon him. Zehira upon him. Has to be like, your face needs to be, you have to smile, you have to be certain color, certain happy or content color, so you release, because that's what child is craving. And again, even child knows that he's not behaving well. When you presented your message with that smiley face and that warmth, so it inviting the child to you, and actually you can influence on the child to go back on the right way. Rabbeinu Yoina in Sha'arei Tshuva brings down this concept, talks about very, very strong. He's saying what encourages people to do tshuva, klapa the Ribono Shel Olam, it's when the people feel ha'aras ponim, when they feel that the Ribono Shel Olam kaviyochel smiles to them. He shows that light ponim, that lichtige ponim to Klal Yisrael. Hashem Elokim tzvaos Hasheveini ha'er ponecho v'nevushayu ha'er ponecho v'amar Rabbi Yisrael zichron levracha zok Sha'arei Tshuva ein lonu ela ha'oras ponecho v'hi inyan harotzon. When you give that, when a parent gives a muser with that ha'oras ponim, with light face, with the gishmak, with a smile, the eyes light in light, in the face, in the smile, that's the statement of rotzen. That's the statement you desire your child. Versus when the techocha does not contain that ha'aras ponim, it shows is a statement of rejection. So we need to release the techocha. It's far more important to release the techocha with a smile, with a gishmak, and your face should be enlightened and be lichtig upon you. As always, the Rav Nosson saying, a brayso always the Rav Nosson saying, "V'hava mekabel eskal odo b'sever ponim yofis." When a man comes over anyone, laudavka, a poor man, anyone, what gives the person the content, the geschmack, is the seir ponim yochos. When your ponim is lichtig, it shows as a statement of rotzen that you want that person. Versus when a face is strict, is not tense. It's you don't show on your face that geschmack, that smile. It shows it's a statement of rejection. Melamed shimnosen ha'odom lechaveira kol matonos tovish ba'olam. Even if you would give all the kind of expensive presents to your friend, upon a kavishim ba'oretz, but you have like a depressing and down face. When you give even the most expensive present to anyone, but your face, you give it tzedakah, a lot of tzedakah, but your face that has that depression and that apathy on the mask on your face is considered you did not give anything. When you accept and you greet your friend, the savior point of yovis with lichtige ponim, with a smile, with the geschmack, your eyes are widely open, and like you have the with content face with geschmack. Even though you did not give him external nothing, the goodness gave it. What the etzem makes the person, why? What's the whole tachlis of giving a present to a friend? It's to make the person feel good. But here the Chazal Megal discover what makes person feel good is not external nisina. It's not external giving to a friend. It's far more important to have that face, that rotzen the face, geschmack a face when you give. And once you have the same point of view of it, at the time when you give, it's not really important what you give, because what the other person get energized and mobilized by that ha'aras ponecho, the lichtige ponim that you have at the time when you give to the person. Remember, ha'aras ponim, when your face is lichtig, is geschmack, you have a smile, you have that. It just shines out. Your face shines out with the geschmack and simcha. It's a statement of rotzen that you want that person. And as more you bring out that ha'aras panecha at the time you give it the teichocha, any time, it shows you want the child. When the child comes to ask you something, you can't say with that dark face. Let's go with dark face. And just releasing your answer like more formally. So it's not a statement of rotzen. The child won't understand, won't feel that you want him or her. What makes the child feel that you desire the child is when you saying shefula, you're showing that face, that smile, that geschmack, and that's when the clicks, and then when the child feels that you really want him or her. And that's we are asking for the Rebbeinu Shalom for Ha'aras Panecho. Kaviyachal Rebbeinu should smile to us and show Kaviyachal his lichtige ponim. Then we will feel that the Rebbeinu Shalom wants us. The question is, how do we achieve to have Ha'aras Panecho? Ha'aras Panecho is one of the fundamental tools and number one component when you give a musar, ha'aras panecha, because it shows that you want the child, you're not rejecting the child, because the teichocha can be perceived in one or two ways, or rejection or desire. So what makes the other person feel, or child feel the rejecting or want, is the ha'aras panecha. So how do we achieve the ha'aras panecha? So etzem is, there is ways, but it's when a child triggers the parent by his negative, or by her negative behavior, the parent is upset at the child. It's very hard to demand from a parent to have that ha'aras ponim at the time of anger. So first you need to calm down. The way how to calm down, how the parent can calm down himself, I think it's I've tried to my own experience. And it works gewaldig. There's an eitza. Rab Chaim Volozhin brings down from the Gra Gevaldig Nekud. The Tanda Baliu states as follows. Tanda Baliu counts out the midas from the Rebbeinu Shalom. One of the midas from the Rebbeinu Shalom is a Sameach Bechelkoi. A Sameach Bechelkoi. It's a very interesting concept. Rebbeinu Sameach Bechelkoi. So Rab Chaim Volozhin present this question to Goyen, to the Gra, and ask what's this medrash. How can you define the Rebbeinu Sameach Bechelkoi? We call it Muloi Kivoide. The ganze Welt is his. What's the Sameach Bechelkoi? What's pshat in that? So the Goyen answered that Rab Chaim Volozhin a very, very fascinating answer, which is helps. We can relate to it, and we can if we think to it, it's a gewaldige Anhoga. The Goyen answered to Rab Chaim Volozhin that there's a Sameach Bechelkoi. It goes on Klal Yisrael. The Rebbeinu Shalom is Sameach Bechelkoi for Klal Yisrael. The Rebbeinu Shalom choose the Klal Yisrael as his nation for him. That's his babies. That's his kids. Sometimes will behave good. Sometimes will behave not good. So Goyen is saying, even at the time the Klal Yisrael is not behaving the way they're supposed to behave, and they're upsetting the Rebbeinu Shalom, they get the Rebbeinu Shalom upset. Von deswegen ist es Sameach Bechelkoi. The Rebbeinu Shalom is Sameach with his kids. Yaakov Chevel Nachalose is a Sameach with his Nachle, with his Chelek. Yeah, right now they're not behaving the way they're supposed to behave, but still the Rebbeinu Shalom is Sameach Bechelkoi. That's the middle for the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Rebbeinu Shalom in any time, at any time, Churban Abayis, Golus, at any time, yes, the Rebbeinu Shalom gave us a Musar, but even though the Rebbeinu Shalom is still a Sameach Bechelkoi, he still will never drop us. His love to us will always remain and always stay with us. Doesn't matter how we behave. As the Apostle said, "Ani Shoicha b'Seichti Moisam." The Rebbeinu Shalom saying, "There's a Aftocha." The Rebbeinu Shalom promising the Klal Yisrael, "I will stay with you at any tomb and at any form of tomb you will be potentially. I still will be with you." There's no time when the Rebbeinu Shalom will drop Klal Yisrael. This is Sameach Bechelkoi. So, I think it's very important to know for every parent, we have to be a Sameach Bechelkoi with our kids. The same way that the Rebbeinu Shalom is Sameach Bechelkoi, when we Klal Yisrael, when we parents not behaving the way we're supposed to behave, but still the Rebbeinu Shalom is Sameach Bechelkoi, he's still happy with his Nachla, with his Chelek that he chooses to have. So is we when our kids are making us upset, and they behave not the way it's supposed to behave. We should also be Sameach Bechelkoi. Sameach, thank Hashem that's what Hashem gave us. So in order to get yourself calmer at the time when the child gets you upset, just give yourself 1 minute, even less than 1 minute, and tell yourself, that's my Chelek. That's my Chelek. That I'm a Sameach Bechelkoi. That's the Rebbeinu Shalom gave me, and I'm being happy. The same way that the Rebbeinu Shalom will never drop me. Doesn't matter how far, how many sins I'll make. Doesn't matter how negative I will behave. The Rebbeinu Shalom will still love me and still keep this. So I will also implement it to my kids. Actually, in more depth, it's an opportunity to connect to Midas Hashem. That's a dveikus. A moedig opportunity when a child makes the parent upset, and the parent just being Sameach Bechelkoi is telling himself, the first number one you have to perceive right now is the opportunity to connect to the Rebbeinu Shalom. When my child gets to me and he behaving negatively, and I feel I have that inner that's called tendency to reject him, but I won't reject him. I will still love him, and that's and I will connect to Midas with the Rebbeinu Shalom. I'll live in Midas, and I will live with the Midas and the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Rebbeinu Shalom also Sameach Bechelkoi, but Klal Yisrael. It doesn't really matter what form and shape Klal Yisrael is. I wish to always will love and appreciate Klal Yisrael. And when you tell to yourself that it's my chelik. My love to my child was still the same. Doesn't really matter how he behaving. He's sleeping, not waking up, whatever any kind of negative behavior. You will see how drastically your anger will reduce, and your responding will appear, because innerly you do love your child, and the same way that Hashem loves us, and the responding will come. Just takes less than a minute. When you feel the child that triggers you, don't respond. Just walk away. Give yourself a space, less than a minute. Just understand that this is an opportunity of connecting to Ribono Shel Olam by being appreciating your chelik and express how much you still love your child, although he's behaving or she's behaving not the way they're supposed to behave. Just say it 2-3 times, and you will see how your responding will appear on your face. The Rambam says that. So now let's go to practical work. How a parent should give a techocha to our kids in a form of this techocha should bring the positive result and encourage the child to correct his ways. So the Rambam in Hilchos Day is saying as follows: when you give a techocha to your friend, you should give it privately. That the techocha is only for his favor. Rambam saying that there is 3 ways, there is 3 components how to deliver the techocha. So this techocha will encourage the child, anyone, to go back on the right way. Number 1, meaning to say, every techocha you release, it has to be privately. Meaning to say that as a child is behaving negatively at home, it's never tell a child in front of other siblings never address the negative behavior of the child in public. Doesn't really matter what kind of public. Public means siblings. Public means and outside on the street. Public means in shul. Doesn't matter. Any kind of the techocha has to be privately. The child's not behaving well in the shul, running around. Don't address the negative behavior to a child in public. It has to be in private. And when the child behaves negatively at home, doesn't matter what kind of negative behavior. Never address the negative behavior in public in front of the siblings or on the street. The number 1, the techocha has to be beinoi leben atzma, in a private manner. Number 2, even the techocha privately, you should talk to your child, meaning pleasantly, calmly, to tell to your child privately, my dear child, Sheifula, big kids don't behave this way. Be'ezer Hashem, when you will get big, you will also behave like big kids. Do you want to get a big child? Do you want to become big? Do you want to be a big child? That's the encouraging way. Big kids don't behave the way you behave. But as Hashem, when you will get big, you will also behave like a big kid. That's Lashon Raka. Number 3, here comes a very strong message. Sometimes we give musar to our kids, and because of our self-centered image, meaning to say, you're running in the shul, you're embarrassing me. The way you talk is you're embarrassing me. You're embarrassing the family. You're embarrassing tati, mommy, or any kind of your behavior is embarrassing someone or something. This musa will be rejected momentarily. When you release the techocha to a child needs to understand that this techocha only pure for his favor only for his favor, for his own benefits. Letoivosoi. It's lotoivosoi. It's nothing to do with me. It's not really so. It's not with the parent. I don't want you to behave in shul properly because I don't want you to embarrass me. I don't want you to behave in school properly because I want to embarrass me. I want you to behave in shul because it's for your favor. It's for your own toiva. I want you to behave in school properly because for your own toiva. I want you to eat and with manners because for your own favor. Let make him acknowledge that you're giving him a mussar is just only for his favor. Let's say a mother trying to train the child to dress on her own to go to school, right? And the child tells the parent, "Oh, mommy, I want you to dress me." Or let's say any kind of, because the child becomes like a needy. So, or let's say, the child eats not the way it's supposed to eat, not with manners. So, the mother can say to a child, "You're right. I also want to dress you. I also want to dress you up. But how you be masadar yourself to put your coat? Let's say put your coat and cheder on your own." He needs to say, "Yes, I also want to grant your wish. I also want to dress you. It's a geschmack for me to dress you up. But how would you manage in school to dress on your own? It comes first. I also want to do for you, also grant your wish, but I'm doing for you a favor, so therefore I'm encouraging you to dress on your own." And so this is three ways how to release a positive techocha. Privately, calmly, meaning to say, as we said, that big kids don't behave the way you behave. When you will get big, you also behave differently. And also let it was make the child acknowledge that the complete techocha, whatever I tell you, it's for your own favor, for your own benefit. Make him acknowledge that. And as more your words will contain also the feelings, the honest feelings in this, as more you faster you bring back the child on the right track, and the more strongly the child will remain on the right path and the right track in life. Kol tov be'ez Hashem b'mamshach tomorrow. Get me took. Hatzlacha Rabbi.